Hello there, this is Keith from Universal English, and what I'd like to share with you today is simply 10 things that good language learners do. We're going to work together and just travel through a series of slides, and the idea is to help you to realize that really there's nothing special to it. It's just a matter of figuring out how and getting on with it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just get on with the show. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but some people seem to think that you need some kind of special abilities or to be, something special in order to learn a language, but that's really not true. So there are lots of things that good language learners have in common, and certainly understanding something about the approach to learning a language can help you get on your way, get started, and help you out. So here's part one. No special talent required. Anyone can learn a language really, and it's just a matter of recognizing that you can. Once you decide that you can learn a language, then it's just a matter of working out how to do it, and that's what's really important. So just recognize that, yep, you can do it, and get on with it. And it's true that there's no special way of learning a language for everybody. Everyone has a different way of learning. Everyone needs different things. So you have to find your own particular way, the way that you like to learn. And there are many new technologies available at the moment that can help you to do just that. Find out exactly what tools you need and begin to use them and enjoy the process of learning how to use these tools and feel that you're really moving forward. Number three is to recognize that you have to take responsibility for your own learning. You have to make an effort, you have to plan, you have to recognize that you're going to need some time to do this learning, so you've got to build yourself a little timetable and make sure that you really treat it as a job of work, that you need to get things in order and to be able to do them at the right time. Remember that languages are, they're learned, they're not taught. So the idea is that you have to give yourself the chance to learn them and take responsibility for your own learning. Teachers are only any good if the learners are actually positively switched on to the learning process and want to do the job. Okay, number four, they create their own materials. Many good learners they learn to make videos of themselves, they record themselves, they create diaries and e-portfolios and reflective journals. The idea is that they are conscious of their own learning, and the annotation that it requires helps them to actually form memories that help them to learn the processes that they're undertaking. So anything that you can do or make to help you learn will be a good idea. Anything that works in that way will be successful. This may be a strange one to think about. Number five, they will learn one language at a time. The idea behind learning languages is a strange one, but the idea is that if you try to learn 3 or 4 languages at the same time, you're going to get confused. You really are. So the general successful way of learning a language is that you learn one and then you add another one. Many people who have learned more than 3 or 4 languages use this system because it is by far more successful than trying to take everything on at the same time. So there's the idea. Learn one language to get to a reasonable level, and then when you've got to that reasonable level, then you might be able to think about learning another, and at the same time practicing the first learned language in order to keep it up to date. Number 6, they speak and listen as much as possible. Listening is an important activity in order to help you to really get the language going in your mind. It is a way of embedding the language, and also speaking is an important tool as well. You've got to get as much speaking in as you can because it helps you to memorize the structures and vocabulary by actually using them. It's not the same as just thinking about a language. Actually using the language is by far more efficient at the time of learning. Number 7, a lot of learners come to my class and they're absolutely afraid of making mistakes. You really do need to make mistakes. It's impossible to learn a language if you don't make a lot of mistakes. So don't be afraid of that. Just get in there and make as many mistakes as you like. For a start, the teachers need your mistakes in order to identify the areas where you need to improve. That's just one reason for the mistakes. And the other thing is that you always need to be trying to push your language to its absolute limit. You need to be working on areas that you're not very sure about in order to practice those. It's no good staying completely within the language that you know very, very well, because if you're doing that, you're really not learning anything new. You have to always push the frontiers and try to learn something new. They use simple communication. So number 8, they use simple communication. The message is important, but the words really are not. So the idea is that you get your information across, you get your message over to the other person. It doesn't really matter how you do it at first. As you improve, naturally, your language will become more and more sophisticated. But certainly at first, the whole point of learning a language is communication. So use the communication and don't be too tied up with always having absolutely the correct word. Just make sure that the message gets to where it's supposed to be. Okay, number 9, they learn in small regular chunks. Spend some time every day learning your new language. Don't try to do it, once a week in great big chunks and then leave a massive amount of time in which basically you forget what you've learned and then try to do another massive amount of language. It's much better if you do a small chunk of language, study half an hour or an hour every day, and that will keep the whole idea fresh in your mind and it will keep you learning at a good rate. That's what you need to do to be successful. Last, number 10, certainly not least, make sure that you enjoy your learning. Make it fun, enjoy the process, make it into a hobby. It's something that you're doing, it's going to improve your life, improve your job aspects. But if you're not enjoying the process, it's going to make it terribly hard work. So make sure that you enjoy the whole idea of learning language. Turn it into a game, because there's nothing worse than spending hours and hours on a long project like a language if you don't enjoy it. The whole point of doing this kind of work is to be able to enjoy the process and enjoy the whole idea of learning a language. It will then not be work at all. It will suddenly just be like having a bit of time where you're actually relaxing and enjoying yourself.